Mm-hmm.
Lia Thompson. Shannon, do you know who Lia Thompson is?
Yes. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Do you know who Lia Thompson is?
Let me see. Let me look her up. Oh, no. Who is this person?
Well, while Shannon's doing her little quick Google search, Lia Thompson is a transgender woman who has been competing in women's swimming in the college level.
Oh. Okay.
Right. And she has been kicking ass, taking first place. And there has been conversations around whether or not this is right. Should a woman who spent the majority of her life so far as a male be allowed to compete against females? And for some reason, people are getting tongue-tied over this question. They're stuttering a lot. They don't have an answer
we've talked
for
about
it.
This too. Yeah.
No, we didn't, because I remember I wanted to speak about it before, and you said you didn't know who she was. So I was like, okay, we'll put it off
but we
later.
talked about in general if transgender women can be able to should be able to compete in sports. We talked about that briefly, like a while ago.
What was your opinion on it again? I forgot.
At first, I said I didn't think. At first, I said, it's not fair to exclude people from sports altogether just because they choose to identify a different way. But I mean, I understand the argument that like it's not fair on a competitive level because men are, statistically stronger, scientifically stronger than women. But I'm actually Googling right now if taking estrogen makes you weaker. So I'm trying to find the answer to that.
I mean, it makes you weaker than me, but
it says that high estrogen levels can decrease power and performance. So I don't know. I was trying to figure that out because like if you're taking estrogen, like maybe you wouldn't be as strong, or maybe there wouldn't be as much of a performance difference if you're taking estrogen as opposed to if you weren't. If that makes sense.
I hear you. Just so you know, your camera keeps shaking, but you would have to you'd have to transition before puberty for you to not have an advantage, though. Like, what makes men fit? So, like, boys and girls are not that different strength-wise until the introduction of testosterone.
Okay.
So, if you line up a bunch of boys in fifth grade,
but that's what I'm saying. So, like, when you start taking estrogen, doesn't the testosterone kind of just like dissipate from your body?
But you already have the male body. So, for example, you're already 6 feet tall. Like, I think she's like 6 something, right? So, you have the bone mass of a male. You have the height of a male. You have the, so it doesn't matter how much estrogen you take. You're not going to shrink. You're not going to, lose that bone density. It's there already.
Got it. Yeah.
So, for me, this is simple. And I am growing very uncomfortable with the fact that there seems to be this distancing from reality for the sake of feelings that I don't understand why we can't have two conversations at the same time. So I start here. I believe that trans women and trans men, people who are born one sex but want to identify with a different gender, the opposite gender, I believe that sensation is a real thing. In fact, there's a medical term called gender dysphoria. That's what that is when you are born a male, for example, but you feel like you should be in a woman's body, and vice versa. That sensation is a real thing. I believe that so far, the best solution that we have, generally speaking, are for those individuals who do suffer from that condition, is for them to live in the body that they feel like they are inside. And so I had no problem with that. Now, I used to have no problem with even the pronouns and the, those things either. But I'm beginning to suspect that maybe by playing that game, so to speak, I'm creating a problem for myself and for the conversation in general, because I used to think, well, look, if somebody was born male, but they transition to a trans woman and they get a new name and they act to be called her or she, who's it hurting?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it's hurting all of us, probably. It is. It might be hurting us all, and I'm gonna tell you how. Because it is the blurring of the rules that we have set in place, so to speak, right? So, and I'm trying to speak in a way that makes sense and it's not confusing. All of these things are made up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a man, you're a woman, Shannon. These rules were made up a while ago, but they were made up because we have to all agree on certain things in order for us to have a society.
Mm-hmm.
This has to be white so that we can all discuss, if we wanted to buy something, what color we want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
If this starts being white and this starts being black and this starts being yellow, then you just have confusion. You just have chaos. Mm-hmm. That's all you have. Strike two. And so with the pronouns, I used to believe, because, you know, I've been having conversations with trans people, trans women, trans men on Clubhouse a lot, and they were kind of, you know, telling us about, you know, how they feel and cisgendered stuff versus transgender stuff, and you feel where they're coming from. But I do think if we like totally dissolve or remove ourselves from these categories that were put in place for us to make sense of the world, of the real world, then where are we going?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to balance kind of societal good with the good of the person on the individual level.
Mm-hmm.
On the individual level, I understand addressing you as a trans woman. As a woman. I understand using she and her as your new pronouns. I understand calling you a new name for a personal good. For a societal good, though, there is an argument, and I'm still not sure where I land on this. At first, I was against calling trans women by their new identities and stuff. Then I was for it. Now I'm back in the middle. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I know you were against it at one point because we talked about this before and you were like completely against it.
I was. And then I was for it. And now I'm in the middle where I see both sides of the argument and it's messy, but I say all this to say it is obvious to me that Lia Thompson or Lia Thompson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lia Thompson should not be competing against female athletes. Female athletes. That's kind of we have to have a line somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Have to. We have to have a line somewhere. And if saying that someone who was born male went through most of their life male shouldn't be competing against people who were born female.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Sorry.
I agree.